Okay, here we go, Randall. I call to order the regular meeting of the City of Aransas Pass City Council, September 24, 2020 at 6 p.m. Let's all rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, Father, for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us, my Father. We thank you, my Father, because in spite of all that's going on around our country, my Father, we know that you are still in the throne and you are still in control. I pray, Lord, that you heal our country, my Father, heal our land. Let us come together as one. We may not agree on different things, but we know that the greater purpose is for our country, for our state, and for our city. We thank you, my Father, for the blessings that you've given Aransas Pass. We pray, Lord, that you continue moving Aransas Pass forward. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I'll pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we're going to go to presentations and proclamations, and it's a presentation by AEP Texas regarding rebuilding of a transmission line from Aransas Pass substation to the seawall substation. Mr. Patrick King.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here this evening. Just wanted to take a little bit of y'all's time and give you an update on the Aransas Pass Power Improvements projects. It's one of our main 69 kilovolt line that we are currently under engineering that is going to be rebuilt here in the community. Wanted to give y'all an update of where we're at and make you aware of the construction timelines and some of the specifics related to it. So appreciate the opportunity. My name is Patrick King, the External Affairs Manager with AEP Texas. One of our transmission construction representatives, Wayne, he is running a little bit late, but he may be here before we're done. And then I've got Brent Starr is with me. He is our main right-of-way agent who is assigned to this project. He'll be dealing with any right-of-way issues with property owners or, our customers, property owners within Aransas Pass. The project need and overview slide. What we're looking at is this includes rebuilding a 3-mile long line which extends from the Aransas Pass substation, which is out by the Whataburger, all the way down to the seawall substation, which we call the seawall substation, which is over behind the HEB. Much of the existing infrastructure obviously consists of damaged wooden structures, approximately 50-year-old line. We did lose 2 or 3 poles during Hurricane Harvey in that line, and that's what kind of elevated the look at trying to rebuild it. So based on the outage history and the equipment condition, and it's an outdated line, the design of it is just outdated, we decided to go ahead and rebuild it. The upgrades are going to meet modern safety standards, and hopefully they'll help reduce the likelihood of any long-term outages for the area. The project is going to replace all the wooden structures. The poles are currently wooden poles. We're going to put in new steel structures, which is obviously stronger and more durable for hurricane types of situations. And another most important part of this is it is going to support growth and economic development along the whole Texas Gulf Coast area. Although that line is only a 3-mile portion, it is interconnected in through a big infrastructure part of our transmission system into this area. It continues to go over to the ferry landing underneath the ship channel to Port Aransas, and then circles back around to the island, back over to Flower Bluff. So it's a key part of a whole lot larger transmission infrastructure that we have in this area. The project schedule. We've obviously have done a project announcement. We have been working with Fernando's group for several months now. They have been reviewing preliminary engineering of this line, placement of the structures, the new structures. And so we've already been in communications with the city extensively on a lot of the preliminary work. A lot of the surveying is currently continuing to be done. The majority of the line, I would say 90%, Brent, is going to be in public public right of way. It's going to be currently where it is existing. It's in the street right of way. It's in existing right of way. We've got some areas down by the school district that we're gonna need to work with them on. Yeah, and then back on towards the back of the Aransas Pass substation. But we're working with property owners currently to resolve all of them issues. We do plan on having a virtual open house. Obviously, with the COVID issues, we're not going to be able to have an in-person open house. And what that'll do is that'll help the landowners understand the full scope of what we're trying to accomplish and the construction schedule and kind of the expectations of how we're going to accomplish this project. We're trying to get this thing done by the end of summer 2021, and we hope to be out of these neighborhoods by the fall of 2021 with all of the cleanup, all of the old poles, all the old material. We plan to be done and completely out of there, hopefully by fall of 2021. If you want to look at the project overview map, this is kind of a pretty good map of what we're dealing with. If you look at the top left-hand corner up there, where that triangle is, that is the Aransas Pass substation. The line comes directly out of the back of that substation and intersects with Demery Lane. And then it travels, it parallels Demery Lane all the way over to Avenue A. So it parallels right there in front of the middle school and down towards the high school. And then on Avenue A, it takes a turn and then goes back to Nelson Avenue. Mm-hmm. So the portion of this line is in front of the high school also. And then it's going to go all the way down Nelson, which is a well-established part of Aransas Pass. You know, neighborhood's been down in there. It's going to go all the way down Nelson. It's going to cross Commercial, which now we're back behind the HEBs, and that's where our seawall substation is, which would be down to the far right-hand side. So it's not that long of a line, but it's in an important part of town. You know, people well established, developed part of town, and that's what we want to try to do is to keep the communication lines open, and obviously the transparency with everybody and mostly the community leaders of what we're going to accomplish. If you go to the next slide here, this is kind of an idea of the new steel structures. This is what we'll be looking at putting back in, replacing the existing wooden structures. There'll be steel monopole, approximately 95 feet in height, and we're looking at about 300 feet distance between the poles. So that's kind of give you an idea of what the new structures will look like. In addition to this, you know, obviously we're committed to proactively engaging the landowners throughout this project. Letters have already been sent out to adjacent property owners where the line is in the right of way, but you know, there's a residence next to it. So letters have been sent out to the property owners. There's already been several one-on-one communications. Yeah, some interaction with customers with some concerns. What are we doing? You know, how is this going to affect us? So that is already happening as we continue to work through this. Another really good part of this project is that we have a website that has been set up. If you look down at the second bullet, the aeptexas.com/Aransas Pass, all of these property owners can go into that website, and y'all can go in and look at any status of where we're at, any changes that might be happening, and then they can also go in there and ask specific questions. They can put their name and information in there, ask specific questions, and it goes to our outreach specialist and one of the field representatives, whether it might be Wayne or it might be me or it possibly could be Brent. We will be able to answer their questions. So there's a way that they can get in touch with us throughout this process. Of course, due to the COVID issues, we are planning to do a virtual open house, and we will mail letters to them property owners, giving them all the information on when that's going to happen, hopefully by the end of the year. You know, we encourage anybody who has any questions to contact our right-of-way agents. Brent's got personnel here that have been in the area, and we've done a lot of really good outreach to them. And you know, the majority of the time, if they understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, you know, it just helps. It helps them kind of understand a little bit better the scope of work, because these are big structures. You know, this is going to be, you know, some equipment in these neighborhoods. These are big structures, so it can be kind of alarming if you're not really fully understanding the size and scope of what we're trying to accomplish. The next slide is our other stakeholder interactions. Basically, as we solidify the construction and engineering part of this project, which is almost completed, one of the big parts of what we're going to have to accomplish is working with APISD. We've been in touch with them throughout this process already. The leaders of the school district, we've been in touch with them. But actually, this work and this project is going to parallel 3 of their campuses. So we've got Falk Elementary, which is on Nelson. We've got the high school, obviously, which is that little section in front of it on Avenue A. And then we got the middle school, which is on Demery. So we're going to try to provide advance notice, you know, to the residents regarding the construction, any lane closures, necessary safety issues, you know, the schools. Nobody can predict how the school's going to be functioning, you know, first quarter of next year. But we do understand that there's going to be bus traffic issues, you know, and you get down into some of these areas where you have children possibly walking to and from school. So we're definitely going to be in touch with the school district and working these concerns out and having resources available to manage that and take care of them issues, you know, as they come up. And then, of course, y'all are important. Anybody in the community, if you have any questions, we're here. If y'all have constituents that have any questions or concerns, please, you know, send them our way. Send them to the website. They can ask a question specifically on the website. And then from there, we'll definitely, hopefully, you know, be able to respond to them and help alleviate any concerns that they have. And the last page here, we do have an outreach specialist. This is his contact information. Actually, this is the gentleman who the questions go to, and then he'll filter them back to the field guys here locally. And I just wanted to open it back up, and if there's any questions for the group, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
Mayor, my name is Roxanne Cotroneo, and I'm the city attorney. Thank you for your presentation. This is an item just for presentation, so the council really is not able to discuss the item with you.
Okay.
But I would like to follow up with you. I've got 2 concerns that I want to make sure we can address for the community. That's one is noise, right? We want to make sure that we have healthy residents who are able to sleep, and so we're curious about when your work hours will be involving construction. And the second,
it should be mostly during the day.
and the second thing is beautification. And what I mean by that is you're located in the Aransas Pass substation that you've termed on your map as one of the most important entrances to our city. And the first thing you see, of course, when you drive in is all your AEP stuff. And so I'd be interested in talking to you, and I'm sure the council would very soon, about what can be done to make the entrance to our city an AEP promotional and beautiful in that corner. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and so if you're going to be building this wonderful 3-mile line, I know there's going to be some impositions to our community. We'd like to know what can we do to help make our beautiful city even more beautiful.
Sure, and you know, transmission and distribution equipment is it's tall poles and bulky, and it's got to be secured. You know, with high fencing and yeah, from an aesthetic standpoint, it can be a challenge. Yeah.
Modernized pool. I don't know what that is. It's not my talent. It's not really here to do.
Yes, ma'am.
You seem to be like a very important person.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely be back in touch with you on that. Okay.
It sounds to me like another great hike and bike project, right? Go right along that line.
Yeah, well, we're excited and you know, there's a tremendous amount of improvements going on. In addition to the transmission component, there's going to be some other distribution upgrades along Demery and a small portion of Avenue A and then back down. And of course, we've just rebuilt the whole distribution line down Wheeler within the past, I think 18 months. So we're really trying to upgrade a lot of our infrastructure. Hurricane Harvey, obviously, was recognition of some of the weak points that we have. And so that's our intention. But mostly we want y'all to be aware of what we're doing and not be surprised by anything, and to make sure y'all have the contact information to where you can get a hold of us so we can be a part of any solution and not create any issues for you guys. So I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, now we're going to go to presentation of 2020 Municipal Safety Award. Henry.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I don't believe we're ready to do this tonight. I think it's going to be delayed because of some health issues. So at the next meeting, we anticipate this coming up.
Okay. So then we go to the consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of this item unless the council member so requests. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
I make a motion.
Mayor, may I comment before we vote on the consent agenda? Included in the attachment is an amendment to the minutes of the April 15, 2019 council meeting. I recently had to review some annexation documents, and one of these documents was the minutes of April 15, 2019. I listened to the recorded video for this meeting, and the comments that were made by the mayor and a couple of council members regarding the annexation item 15.3, in my opinion, as city secretary, didn't accurately reflect what was actually said during the meeting. So I'm submitting for your consideration this amendment to the minutes to correct those comments, which now includes a verbatim transcript of the comments that were actually made. So that's what's submitted for your consideration.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of September the 3rd, 2020, and the special meeting, and amending the April 15th, 2019 regular meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now I'm going to open up the public hearing on case number 2009-11. Is public hearing of a request for a conditional use permit by Willis Freeze to live on site in a recreational vehicle RV during construction of his house. Zoned RTA Single Family Dwelling District at 1045
No.
North McCampbell Street, Aransas Pass, Texas.
Good evening. This application is by Mr. Willis Freeze. He is proposing to put an RV behind his new construction site, which he is putting up a single-family unit. But he has issues with the theft on his property whilst construction is going on. So he's planning to put an RV over there so he can stay in it whilst under construction. And he's targeting about 60 to 90 days. So he's requesting for 90 days to put the RV there until construction is done, and then he will move it out. He is here to answer questions that you may have. And this application was heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission on Tuesday, September the 15th, where the application was heard and considered, and subsequently the commission voted to recommend approval for 90-day.
I have a question. Is he remodeling a house or building a house?
He's building a new house.
Is there a structure there already or no?
Yeah. You're talking of the RV that he wants to put in?
No. So there's no house on this property at all?
There is a house under construction. It's almost 90%
it's
done.
already under construction?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 90% done.
Oh, okay.
But due to theft
Okay.
and stealing of his construction materials, he wants to put the RV structure behind that new construction that is going on so he can live on site and watch his materials.
Okay.
Mhm.
Chief, are you aware of this?
Me personally, directly, no, I'm not aware. We have ways that we can work with him if we were to reach out to him.
Yeah, because I would think that if there's a lot of theft at that property, that there would be police reports.
Potentially, yes, and there could very well be, I don't have that at my disposal.
He said he's made a police report on the theft, right? 2 times? Okay.
I don't
You don't, okay.
Any comments from the public?
How long before you believe the house is going to be finished, sir? Mr. Freeze?
How long?
Yes, sir.
I'm asking a maximum of 90 days.
Well, if the house is 90% done, it's going to take another 90
Well,
days.
that's just in case, you know. I asked 60 to 90 days, but, you know, when I asked for 60 to 90 days, that was a little while ago. So, but at the most, it would be 90 days.
Where is your mobile home, your recreational vehicle now?
I'm sorry.
Where is your recreational vehicle now? Is it in an RV park, or where are you keeping it now?
No, it's over at Burke's and Rockport.
I'm not good with 90 days. I think if he's 90% done, and he asked for it a while ago, because we have another case coming up also, if he's 90% done, I think there needs to be a shorter time frame. My opinion.
I don't have a problem in 90 days either, because you're almost done, you're not gonna need it for 90 days, it just gives you wiggle room in case you need it.
What I-
And in the way some contractors are, I wouldn't, you know, it's my experience, give them as much time as you need. In 90 days,
That's more than enough.
yeah, because if you're done in 30 days, the RV goes back to the storage, right?
Right. Well, that's why I asked 60 to 90 days, and then the committee asked me to commit to a time, and it was like, well, you know, to be sure, 90 days. That was why.
Because you don't need to use that whole 90 days, I'm good with 90.
I'm good. As long as there's no more than 90 days, we're good.
Do we need to close the public hearing?
You have to close the public hearing.
Yeah.
Well, there's no comments posted online. I don't know if there's any comments from the audience.
She's got a question.
You may want to take into consideration, we still have approximately 37 days of the active hurricane season, and we are getting into rainy season, so I don't know if that has any bearing on anything. We can ask Mr. Holt to go over there a little more.
Yeah, we do have the two cases, both cases have been suspended due to lack of evidence or offenders, but we do have other things that we, like bait material and stuff like that, that we could work with.
Right, this was a trailer and a pressure, you know, the pressure tank off of the well, they just ripped it right out. You know, probably a couple of $1,000s. The issue is, you know, I'm at the part of construction now where the appliances and all of
Sure.
that other stuff is in the house, and I'm just afraid that if someone isn't there, they're gonna bust the door down, it'll be gone, and now that I'm really
Yep.
out money.
I can understand.
I understand.
That won't be the first time that happened.
So yeah, let's close the public hearing.
Anybody else? You want to come up here this time?
Hello, Mr. Priest. I'm Melinda Williams.
How are you?
I wanted to ask you, are you able to put in internet so you can actually have cameras installed, like a Ring? or-
Right now, I have, under their recommendation, I have some game cameras right now, but I don't even have electricity. I just passed my
Okay.
electricity inspection, and I've requested power, but, you know, I've got to get power, and then mechanical comes, and
Okay.
during that time, you know, you can get those things. Of course, a lot of the rules and regulations says, well, you can't have this until you have a finished house, and that's, you know, I don't know.
Trying to bring them solutions.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
I
game
declared the-
cameras kind of give you a picture of who got it, not, they don't stop anything.
We'll reach out to you tomorrow, I'm already talking to them.
Okay, anybody else? No, then I declare this public hearing closed. Now we're gonna go to case number 2009-12.
We gotta.
We have to
consider
number two?
Consider an act.
All right, we're going to consider an act on ordinance number 2020-4326, approving a conditional use permit by Willis Freeze to live on site in recreational vehicle RV during construction of his house, zone R7A, single-family dwelling district at 1045 North McCampbell Street, Aransas Pass, Texas.
I make a motion that we approve a conditional use permit by Willis Freeze at 1045 North McCampbell Street
I'd like a time frame added to that, please.
with- for 90 days.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we'll open the public hearing on case number 2009-12. Public hearing on a request for a conditional use permit by Craig Farrar to place a 10x40 Con Xbox for storage purposes for 6 months during construction of his house zone R7B Single Family Dwelling District at 1304 North McCampbell Street in Aransas Pass, Texas.
Yes, this is also a similar case. This time around, the applicant, Mr. Greg Farrar, is requesting to put a Connex box for storage purposes. He is going to construct a house, but not yet. His plan is to get a storage structure to put in place so he can clean up his land. And he thinks that these materials and structure and all those equipments are too heavy to be going back and forth. And so he wants to put a Connex box over there, so he will put those instruments in there that he will use to clean up his property over there. And he's requesting to have, let's say, about 6 months of the Connex box on the property, and after that, he will move it out. Thank you.
Any,
If you have any other questions.
any comments from the public or anybody else for that matter?
No comments on my end.
Okay, then I consider this public hearing closed. And we go to consider and act on ordinance number 2020-4327, approving a conditional use permit by Greg Ferrari to place a 10x40 Connex box for storage purpose for 6 months during construction of his house, Zone R7B, Single Family Dwelling District at 1304 North McCampbell Street, Aransas, Pass, Texas.
I have a question. So on this particular, you said for 6 months, is that I understood from our city official that it's going to be used to store your cleaning when you're clearing the property?
I have tractors and lawn equipment that I purchased that I'm leaving at the lot.
Uh-huh.
Some portions of the lot haven't been cleaned in 20 years, some a little bit longer.
Sure, uh-huh.
Just the equipment that I have on the lot to clear the tractors, the riding equipment, stuff I need to clear so I don't have to have a boat barn or a storage container and then haul it in each day. I've been working on the lot each day,
Okay.
a little bit as I can.
Okay, are you going to use for storing, like the gentleman is storing any of your construction material there, or?
I don't plan on it. The way I'm building the house is I'm doing it myself, hiring the contractors themselves. So when the wood gets there, I'm gonna have that assembled and framed out, the same with the windows. So I'm gonna try to time the staging where I don't have to use it for storage materials. But I think as you guys articulated, sometimes the weather delays some. Should I get into a bind where I need to store my windows and doors for a bit? Yeah, they'll be stored in there until I can get them up, but the goal is to build a house as soon as I can.
Sure.
And just to clear the lot, continue to do this, 1.75 acres, so it's quite large.
Mm-hmm.
So I do need a lot of equipment. I just don't want to wait until I get the house, then start clearing it. I can at least start clearing it, maintaining it, while I'm waiting on the house to be
Sure.
built.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
No?
Mm-mm. Thank you.
Members of the council?
Close
You
it.
gotta close it. Isn't it a public hearing?
We need to close the public.
Oh.
Already has it been closed? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, in that case, I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance number 2020-4327.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're gonna go to open public hearing on a request by Ellis O. Sanchez Pompa to construct a recreational vehicle park of 5 acres with 50 pad lot zones, manufactured home district, MH at Benty Lane, Aransas, Pass, Texas.
Yeah, this is a construction of an RV park on 651 Vent Lane. It has gone through Planning Commission, and they recommended approval. So applicant is here for the final stage of this process. And the lot of the site is, let me see, give me a second. He's going to put an RV park of 50 parts, which will be 35 by 40 RV part spaces, and a pool with restroom and an office with 10 parking spaces on the lot.
How wide are the streets?
The minimum is 25. How much you have? Yeah, 25.
So you're doing 25 wide streets? Chief, you're okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
What is the setback from the bypass, Highway 35? Is it on or near 35? No.
It's there is a 5 acre lot facing 35. So this is the second
Behind
5
it.
acre.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
they did,
Good.
Good for them.
which is good.
Yeah. Okay.
Any public comments? We'll not declare this public hearing closed. And we'll go to consider an act on ordinance approving the request by LSO Sanchez Pompa to construct a recreational vehicle park of 5 acres with 50 pad lots, zone manufactured home district at Banty Lane in Aransas Pass, Texas.
I have a question just before, a quick question. Any letters mailed to any of the surrounding property owners? Did we get any response from them?
Yes, letters were mailed to properties within 200 feet radius, and we did not have any response in terms of for or against.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the ordinance approving the application by LSO Sanchez to construct an RV park on 5 acres with 50 pad lots on Banty Lane.
Okay,
I'll
we have-
second.
We need to add that Pompa name on it?
Oh, I don't have Pompa here.
We don't have that here.
I know, but I do.
Okay, well, okay,
Right there.
then, okay.
Okay.
LSO Sanchez Pompa, okay.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're gonna go to case number 2009-14. Is to open public hearing on rezoning request by Thomas M. Furlow of San Antonio, Texas, of land 5,263.35 square feet, lot ID 425727, 15544, 69920, 13642, 20775, 71141, 8809-934, 8810-326, 69921, and 14871 of the southwest corner of West Guile and North Commercial Street from R7B Single Family District and General Business to Manufactured Home District for a recreational vehicle in Aransas Pass, Texas.
Yeah, as you may know already, Mr. Fallow.
There's 2 people that need to get on the
Okay.
conference call.
Yeah, sorry for that.
Mr. Collins, okay, I'm gonna put you on hold to get the other 2 people online. Hold on just a moment.
All right.
Well, Mr. Winship, can you hold, I've got one more person to get on the line.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Mr. Chang?
Yes?
Okay, hold on, let me see if I've got the other 2 on the line, just a moment.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Coleman?
Yes, I'm on.
Mr. Winship? Mr. Winship, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Mr. Chang?
Yes, I am also here.
Oh, okay, we got it.
Younger years.
Yes. Mr. Fallow submitted his application a couple of months ago, and it went through Planning and Zoning Commission, and they recommended denial. And when it was about to come before council, he pulled the application for a revision. And so he came up with a new concept for consideration. And with that type of design, he created a 25-feet buffer around the property because of neighborhood concerns. And so after review and consideration by the Planning Commission, they recommended approval of the current design plan, and they recommend approval. And this was heard on September 15th. And so this is coming to you, City Council, for consideration and possible making a decision on it. Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions from anybody? Any public comments?
Sure.
Sure, come on.
Yes.
At the meeting with the City Commission, they made mention of the size of the RV park. The basic required maximum size allowable is 10 acres. And what he's proposing here is more than that 10 acres. In actual fact, this is 12.083 acres.
Okay.
And so that needs to be discussed and see what council will come up with a final decision on the size. And also with the design of the frontage, there was concerns about it being one of the main entrances to the city, and so the design of the face was also discussed. So if you want to consider that. Okay, thank you.
On the 12-acre issue, are there any options for Mr. Furlow and his company?
Yeah, with the 12-acre, I guess council may revert that portion to Board of Zoning Adjustment when it comes to numbers and reduction or allowing it to happen. So you may decide to approve it on condition that the Board of Zoning Adjustment may accept the 12 or reduce it. Thank you. You have any other questions?
No? Can we hear from Mr. Furlow?
Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tom Furlow, and I reside at both 408 Bayside Drive in Port Aransas and in 22435 Rowan Forest in San Antonio. On the line are the other members of the team that I'm working with to try to get this project, first get it right and get it approved to where it's to everyone's satisfaction, and to get it built properly and launch it, get it managed. I came before the council in executive session, but just by way of introduction, I grew up in Port Aransas. I'm from down here. I'm an attorney, and I represent homeowners and business owners in insurance matters, Hurricane Harvey, things like that, and spent my whole life down here. And I've been doing real estate in Aransas Pass for over 15 years, and own a lot of property here, and have really invested in the city and believe in the city, and am excited to have an opportunity to do a project like this here. On the line is Jason Chang. He's with DTJ Design. He's the designer of the park, and Glenn Winship and Brent Conlon are with Espada Real Estate. They're out of San Antonio, and they are working with me to assemble the capital and the funding needed to build the project, and they will supervise the construction. They're the numbers guys. I own all the land. I've been amassing this tract of land for about 15 years, and my vision is to take a bunch of random parcels that really didn't add up to much and try to come up with something that's a viable project that we can all be proud of, that's profitable for us and for the city. And, already heard about, the entrance points into the city, and this is an entrance point into the city. And I know that's a concern, but I think we can make that the exact opposite and make that a positive. And I'm excited about that. And that's not something that we're shying away from. We want to talk about that, and that's an open dialogue. Modernized cool, I think council mentioned earlier, and I think that we need to make it look good and be an entry point. But the threshold question is, it's your decision. We've been to P&Z twice. They did approve it. We've talked to neighbors. We've addressed concerns of neighbors. We've reduced the size. We've increased the buffer. There's a lot of really great amenities and green space in this park. It's a very high-end installation. The construction's budgeted between $3 and $5 million. This is not some small-end operation. It's something to be proud of. But I would like for Jason to just give a few of the highlights of the park so you can get a feel for what we're talking about here. But before he does that, I've been carrying this board around now for about 6 months. It seems like it's been in the back of my wife's car for a while, so it's a little worse to wear. But this represents the end as you come up 35 towards Staff. And this is where you would enter into the park. And our main concept was to not just have RVs right up on the highway. We know that the city is sensitive to that, as are we, and we're in complete agreement with that. And this is the area, where I was pretty excited about. As you come up to Staff, there's no real sign that says, you've arrived, you're here at the harbor, you're in the harbor district. And we think with the rows of palm trees we're putting out there on the highway, and this section right here, we can really give that. We can make this a destination. In terms of naming, we're open to talking about that, something that gives both benefit to us and to the harbor project, so people know where they are. And, here you are, you're going to make a left, and you're going to go into the harbor and enjoy all the amenities that are down there. So, we put a lot of money into the facade and want to make sure that that's right, because that's the first impression that people see, and that's a reflection on the city. And we're very, very sensitive to that. But even into the park, we're excited about that. And was talking about widths of the streets, and we feel like we've really spaced it out nicely. But Jason has put a lot of time and hours into this, and has done a beautiful job, in my opinion, designing this to fit sort of an awkward series of tracts of land and turn it into something that's cohesive. But Jason, if you could just sort of give a little bit of your background and the types of projects that you've worked on. I want the council to have utmost confidence in the ability of this team, because we know that this is something that's in our capabilities. And just give them an overview, if you would, Jason.
Sure, I would be happy to. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I am very, very excited about this project. I have gotten a chance to really be a part of a number of developments in and around Aransas Pass. And so I started working off projects in Rockport, and have kind of moved all the way down through Aransas Pass and then into Port Aransas. And so I'm very, very familiar with the clientele and the location. I actually spent a lot of time working with Hal Jones on the Harbor Town project. In fact, the master plan, I think that's currently still being shown by Hal, was actually my master plan. And we had many, many discussions, both with you, the city, as well as other investors. and we still have great hopes and aspirations for what can happen. So when I was approached by Tom, Glenn, Brett, how they found me is actually through a developer, Red McCombs, who's again who's invested very, very heavily on the coast. And so I was very, very excited to get involved in the project. And likewise, I'm very, very excited at the opportunity to bring this one to fruition. So in terms of communities, my background is both in architecture and in landscape architecture. So I have an architecture degree from Washington University in St. Louis, and I have a master's in landscape architecture from the Graduate School of Design at Harvard. I've gotten to work on 8 master plan communities in and around the area, and to great success with investors as well as with residents. And so understanding this market and understanding the folks that we can attract is absolutely something that I'm very, very familiar and very, very comfortable with. In looking at this in this particular project, there are certainly a couple of things that came to very, very quickly into focus as we looked at it. The first is that developments of these types require a certain scale in order for them to be successful. And it's probably not something that is as evident as, let's just say, you might otherwise think. But the ability for these projects, again, to be carried forward is heavily dependent upon being able to spread costs out over a larger user group. And that's certainly what this group has been able to do in terms of assembling these parcels. And so I think that was really, honestly, the first thing that really struck me about this and the incredible opportunity that it presents. The second one is obviously one that we have talked very, very heavily about, and that was the entrance to Con Brown and sort of bringing people in, and what that entry sequencing was going to be like. How do we get them to make that left turn as they're coming down the roadway, and really how do we kind of introduce that project because it is a little bit hidden. And so when I kind of looked at these two things, I realized I was like, yeah, just what kind of a home run this could be for Aransas Pass, and how it could essentially help us, pave the way towards again creating something of a very, very special destination in Aransas Pass. I've been very, very fortunate to have worked on, again, some very, very high-end master plan communities and some very, very high-end RV communities throughout Texas. And it is it's interesting in the, even pre-COVID, this was a burgeoning kind of user group, and it's only going to get candidly a lot stronger in the near future. The rental Rental pools, obviously, I think as you all know, in that area are unbelievably well capitalized and extremely, extremely profitable. But the ability for folks to come in, be in sort of their own space, but still interact with other people is absolutely a huge user group, and that user group, again, is only going to get bigger. So when we looked at sort of the confluence of all of these things, its location, as well as, again, having, someone like Tom, who was local, and someone who knew the market, someone who really was a part of the fabric of the community, it for me, it checked all the boxes, and again, I was just super excited to be a part of it.
So we've had, not to jump on you there, but we've had Jason working on this for some time, and he's worked with OSI, and we've really spent a lot of time trying to gather information on what's important, what's not, what are the do's and don'ts, and what are y'all looking for. And then we came up with that, and then we had to react to some concerns in the community over there, and we feel like we've done that effectively, and we feel like we've designed a really nice thing. I'm heavily in the tourism business in Port Aransas, and there's just so many people that come in there in the RV scene, so to speak. They're hunters, fishermen, bird watching, dolphin watching, you name it, and it's just a really good source of tourism influx, and I think it's something to really be excited about. So it's an installation that we've all talked about is something that's going to happen on a fairly short timetable and is going to give a fairly immediate impact. This is not some 10-year plan. In fact, we talked to the commission about that quite a bit, and we discussed some timetables for being open for business, and it was well under. Every time I start talking about the construction side, I get in trouble because those guys are on the line too, but it was well under 2 years to be open and running, and hopefully on a shorter timetable than that. So this is not, phased in. We're going to come in and get all this done properly and get it done all at one time. So I think right now, my property it's a field, and it's a field that's close to the harbor, and it's really nothing to impress when you come in. I really feel like this is an opportunity to impress people when they come in, and that's how we're going to do it. And this is a partnership with the city, and as far as design, signage, things like that, it is absolutely an open dialogue and a two-way street. And one of the other things that came up is I'm in this deal. It's my property. I'm going to partner with them. I will stay in this, and I will be here throughout to make sure that it's done the right way. So this is not a flip. I mean, that came up. This is a long-term deal for me, and I'm real excited about it. The discussion about the 12 acres versus the 10 acres, we've dealt with quite a few people over the last 2 years at least. We've been, trying to get this together, and there was discussion that the ordinance was going to be 10 acres. So we designed it 12. But, the law is what the law is. I'm a lawyer. So, if it's 10, it's 10, and we understand that. But, we would be asking for variance if that's possible. But if it's not, my suggestion would be, right now what we're trying to do is get the zoning proper so we can start permitting and official design and get this thing going. My suggestion would be to remove, we have one version of this that's 11.5, and I would think that because part of this, it's interesting, I own tracts that are zoned part commercial and part residential. So I would say we would carve out whatever you deem necessary from the commercial portion, so it remains commercial up on the highway, and notch it out, so to speak, if that's something the council and the, feels is appropriate. We'd love to go 12 acres because we think the more stalls we have, the better amenities we have, and the more of an impact we can make. But, certainly if we're limited to 10, I would suggest that we subtract the necessary acreage from the commercial and just leave that commercial. And perhaps we can install something there that works in conjunction with the park and tweak the design. But right now, it's, we're here about the zoning, and that's our major first hurdle, and I think a lot of that has to do with, do you want this? And I think, obviously I think you do, because I've put a lot of money and a lot of time into just getting back up to this podium, and I think you do, and I think you're gonna be glad that this is a project that you have. And I think we definitely have the right people, we have the right capital, and this is gonna be done properly. So I think it's a winner, and we're asking that you change the zoning so we can do this project. So I'm glad to answer any questions. I've been at this podium a lot, and I'm starting to feel familiar up here, so I'm glad to stay here as long as needed. I feel I may just wander up here in every meeting and wonder if there's questions. So, but I do appreciate your time and your patience, and we did, go back to the drawing board, so to speak, and you allowed us to do that, and I appreciate that. We want to get it right.
I have a question. You only have one entrance, so that's one to go in and go out, and that is it. That's just my concern.
Actually, there's one on Guile and there's one on Commercial.
Right here.
I'm blind to it.
Right
Oh,
here.
If you look on Guile, there's one there, and there's also one
Okay.
on Commercial.
I-
Interestingly, there's a right-of-way, if you look at the top, there is also a right-of-way
okay, I should have
that
expanded
cuts
it.
through, that could potentially be another entrance, but, security, and there have to be gates, and they have to be, keypads.
I should have just expanded it, and it would have
Oh,
shown
that's
up.
okay. So 2 entrances for sure.
Good, thank
And,
you.
And I think Jason's been careful to, the fire code, and he's talked to the fire marshal, and he's designed this, to meet it, but if we need 3 entrances, obviously, that's what'll be there, but
Yeah,
you're
that's-
right about that.
That's good.
My question, once again, is on the street width. I noticed that at the top, it's 25 feet. The main one-way street down the middle is 20 feet. And if people park on both sides, Chief, that is sufficient 20 feet for the main street down the middle of the park?
The one that goes through the main portion there?
Yes,
That's 20 foot?
yes.
I haven't seen the plans, but if it's 20 foot, then there won't be enough room for people to actually park on the street and be able to maintain it at the park.
I
That's
think
my
we
biggest
dealt,
concern.
and Jason may need to jump in on that, because we did talk a lot about parking and a lot about those issues. So, Jason, is that something you can address for us as far as the width? of the
Yes,
street?
no, absolutely. In terms of the layouts of the individual lots themselves, or the individual RV spots, there's actually provisions for 2 parking spaces in addition to the RV on each one of the lots. In addition to that, there are also provisions for guest parking that is not shown, but guest parking in end caps of each one of the streets. So we would not anticipate, nor would we actually desire,
Or allow?
because we think that it would detract from the overall feel of this park to have off-street parking. So all of the parking would be contained either, again, on the lots themselves or in designated parking areas.
So these are large stalls for large, high-end RVs. And so the stalls accommodate not only the RV itself, but the parking that's required for each RV stall. So each stall includes its own parking, so parking on the street would not be allowed. So I believe most of the streets are 25. There is one that is 20, but there would not be any parking on that street. So that would be the response that we would give to that. But, it's in a permitting process, we all have to deal with all of that. We have to make sure that it's approved.
Again, and I don't want to belabor the point, as someone who's actually designed and laid out more RV parks than I would probably like to admit, what ends up happening whenever you allow off-street parking, I'm sorry, on-street parking, or you allow head-in or other parking along the street, what you end up with is candidly a sea of pavement, which is not very attractive at all. And so again, the intention is for us to have, again, something that feels a lot more resort-like as you drive down it. We have, again, laid out each one of the lots. There's a significant amount of green space that is actually a part of each one of the lots as well. And again, you know, our intention is to have a very, very high quality park here, and a sea of asphalt and paving is just not what, you know, we envision when we think of sort of a high quality park.
Okay. Any more questions?
Any more questions from anybody?
There was one comment, if you're ready, there was one comment that was posted on, that was submitted. If I
Okay.
can read that.
All right.
Okay, before we close, okay.
This was submitted by Mr. Eric Kinderbater, and he says that the RV park would cause worse flooding than what is normally experienced with heavy rains, which is very possible from past experience, having resided just 1 block away for the last 33 years. This property is past the dike, so will it have a retention pond? I disagree with Mr. Furlow that nothing else can be built there because they just built a nice elevated home right across from his property. I am also very worried about the high tax increase for our area if Mr. Furlow is allowed to build this RV park. According to the Aransas County tax appraisers, every RV spot will be appraised at $10,000 each just to start with, and will affect all the surrounding properties around the area. Those are his comments.
If I'd like the opportunity to respond to that if I could. There was a lot of talk about this tract of land and the flooding and its low-lying nature. And, you know, through this process that we've gone through, we've discovered that an RV community is a good fit for this type of property because it becomes prohibitively expensive to raise this tract. And also in terms of the drainage, installing this community is going to have a drainage plan, and it will actually improve the situation out there because it will be by design. Right now, it's just a field, and there's no requirement to put any sort of drainage other than just what naturally occurs, and this is going to be by design, and you know, I think that it's actually going to improve that. I agree that it's a valid concern, but I think that it's going to be addressed in the design phase, and it will actually be an improvement. So that would be my response to the comments. And we have dealt with a lot of issues with the neighbors and made accommodations gladly. And we're sensitive to that and respectful of that.
Thank you. Do you have a drainage pond? I don't see one on your plan unless I missed it.
Jason, could you comment on the drainage issue? That has been something that's a valid question that's been brought up quite a bit.
Sure, absolutely. Drainage and stormwater management can be handled in many, many different ways. A pond is certainly one of the means in which it can be done. However, what we have found, and candidly what, I'm a visual person, I don't know if you guys are, I don't typically like the look of ponds, particularly wastewater or stormwater ponds, and the tendency to think they look a little too structured and a little unnatural. And what we actually have been able to do to much greater success is to use a combination of biofiltration as well as other kinds of pervious paving to better spread out and deconcentrate, if you will, stormwater. And so one of the major changes that we made to this iteration of the plan, well, I don't know what it says in terms of iteration of plan, but let's just say it's not A and B, it's more like double Z, I think is what we're probably on right now. In terms of the plans and how this would work, because we've increased the amount of landscape buffer around this entire project, I think we're actually going to create a very lush, robust landscape that actually works as our stormwater polishing system. And so I think actually we, to the point that Tom made earlier, we're actually going to be improving the overall water quality as well as the overall drainage because we are actually going to direct things where we want to direct them as opposed to them either simply surface flowing and then concentrating where they are. Again, we're actually going to put the stormwater where we want it. We're going to let it actually help water our landscape. And we're going to do something that, again, feels far more natural in terms of how it deals with stormwater than quite simply putting it in a pond.
All right.
Vicki, just to comment on there, I've personally watched that area when it's flooded over there with what Mr. Kindevader's talking about. And any amount of runoff is going to exacerbate that situation. We had those washouts, if you recall, where the road washed out twice on the Campbell. That's right around, just down the street
Behind,
from that
right
area.
to the west of us.
Yeah, so I think that it would be a good idea. I don't know if we have that master drain people still doing the study, but that is a very valid concern that I think that we need to work closely with them on as far as drainage.
Sure, and that's a design parameter that we're gonna have to dig into, and, you know, when we're designing and going through the permitting process and all that, for sure. But it can be done.
And do you believe that only 3 temporary RV spots for check-in is feasible? Because it looks like in front of the check-in building are just for like cars.
Jason, do you feel?
I was simply going to say, that is a great question. We hope that 3 isn't enough. Candidly, it would be fantastic if we actually needed more. Typically how we, again, from an operations standpoint, and this probably goes a little bit more into, again, operations. We don't anticipate that we anticipate, again, that a lot of this is going to be done through reservation. And so our intention is to be able to, to be able to accommodate the check-in with 3 spaces. There is, again, I think that's more of an operations question than it is really from a functionality standpoint. But I've again, in my, past, with other RV parks, we've actually had less than that. And so I think 3 plus the actual parking spaces will suffice. But again,
I'm just concerned because it's just as soon as you come off of the main street is your check-in building, which is great. But on a Friday night when everybody's trying to get back into town, I was just concerned that it would be backed up or that would be a lot of congestion. That's all.
That's a valid point, and it does start to look like we're going to have a little bit of real estate to play with, depending on what's 10 versus 12 acres?
I actually own and operate RV parks.
Oh.
And the standard operating procedure is the people know what spot they're gonna go into, and they have a reservation before, and they are, you know, if the park is successful, 99% of your customers are gonna go straight to their numbered site, park their site, and come back and walk to the office and check in at that point. And that is definitely an operational procedure that I've implemented in other RV parks, and it works great. In fact, several of my RV parks don't have any staging spots for new check-in. So I think 3 is more than adequate for the people who show up and don't have any reservations whatsoever, because I've seen it work successfully all over the place.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions online? Ram.
So are we done?
I'm good, whatever the pleasure of the council is. I do appreciate the opportunity to be here and all the effort that the city's put into listening to us and working with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I declare this public hearing closed. And I will go to consider an act on ordinance approving a rezoning request by Thomas M. Furlow of San Antonio, Texas, of land 5,263 35 square feet, 12.063 acre lot ID 4257 15544 69920 1362642 20775 71141 88099934 8810326 69921 and 14871 of the southwest corner of West Guile and North Commercial Street from R7B Single Family District and General Business to Manufactured Home District for a recreational vehicle park in Aransas Pass, Texas.
I make a motion, we approve a rezoning request by Tom Furlow of San Antonio, Texas, at the southwest corner of West Guile and North Commercial Street from R7B Single Family District and General Business to Manufactured Home District for a recreational vehicle park in Aransas Pass.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we go to the city manager. Consider an act of entering into interlocal agreement with the city of Ingleside, authorizing the city of Aransas Pass to provide water services to the property located at 1627 Beasley in Ingleside, Texas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is an issue that we haven't faced in some time, if ever. There's a resident living within, I believe it's the ETJ of Ingleside. Ingleside has, and is asking for city utilities, the water service. And the city of Ingleside is agreeing to that. They've looked at the issue and they agree for this person to use city water service if our council approves it. This needs to be approved by you in addition to Ingleside. Ingleside has approved it. And staff is recommending approval if council is so inclined. I believe maybe the property owner is here, am I correct? Thank you very much. If you have any questions of them, that's what's before you at this point.
So the property is in Ingleside? It's in Ingleside.
I'm sorry?
The property is in Ingleside on Beasley. So why are we providing water?
Because I think we own that, the rights to provide water.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, you may come. Yes, please.
Thank you. My name is Andrew Frazier. This is my wife, Chrissy Frazier. We have the 5 acres on Beasley, and it's on the Ingleside side, and then, the left side is Aransas Pass. We all have water, Ingleside doesn't.
Okay, so on one side of the road is Aransas Pass, the
Yes.
other side is
And
Ingleside.
like directly
Okay.
across from our property is fire
Aransas Pass,
hydrant.
okay.
And we had known in the past, a while back, that Aransas has done that before, previously.
Okay.
So that's what we're hoping
Okay.
for.
Okay.
Make a motion that we agree enter into an interlocal agreement with the city of Ingleside, authorizing the city of Aransas Pass to provide water service to the property located at 1627 Beasley, Ingleside, Texas.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll go to consider an act on ordinance number 2023-4328 of the city of Aransas Pass, extending a local state of disaster declaration related to COVID-19 due to a public health emergency for 90 calendar days from effective date of this ordinance.
So Mayor and Council, that's pretty well explains it right there. It's just an extension of the COVID issue. That's what we're asking. Staff supports the extension with the hopes that possibly additional funding would be available. So that's the reason it's before you.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2020-4328 of the city of Aransas Pass, extending a local state of a disaster declaration related to COVID-19 due to the public health emergency for 90 calendar days from the effective date of this ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we go to consider an act on ordinance 2020-4329, amending the zoning ordinance to provide for mobile food establishment permit requirements and fees, allowed areas of operation, hours of operation, signage, structure requirements, overnight parking, noise level, permit revocation, providing a penalty for violation, repealing all conflicting ordinances, providing a savings and severability clause, providing for publication in the official newspaper, and providing an effective date.
Mr. Mayor and Council, this has been worked on, I think, since the Civil War. It's been around a long time. We've worked on it extensively. Legal has looked at it extensively. Staff has worked on it. It's come before you in work sessions, I believe. So we are now ready. The city attorney has worked on this, put the final touches on it, and we're ready to bring it to you. The fire department has been a major player in this, and we appreciate their involvement, as well as the building department, Burrell. In fact, I'm going to ask Burrell just to, if you have any comments, Burrell, you want to make. Otherwise, I'm going to ask the city attorney to talk about the final draft that she's put together.
I really don't, other than I'm going to raise my hand, but I'm the one that messed it up the first time. It's been corrected, and Ms. Roxanne is basically rewritten things where it's concise and makes some sense.
Before we go to Roxanne, Chief, do you have any comments on it? Okay. Roxanne, you want to give an overview of what the council has before them?
Well, Aransas Pass is going to have more than just ice cream trucks. All right, we're going to have mobile food establishments, and mobile food establishments can include things as catering trucks or catering trailers, push carts, and roadside vendors. You're going to have a permit in order to operate, and in obtaining that permit, you have to fill out an application, and in the application is going to be many information that's going to be required, including highlights such as your sales tax identification number, the type of food that you're going to sell, the site plan of how you're going to set things up, your proposed signage, a maintenance plan, which is really important, right? Because you're going to have leftover stuff that needs to be taken care of. And the applicant's also going to have a background check done. With regards to that permit application, there are permit fees. It's my understanding that permit fees were discussed in work sessions with the City Council. So just to refresh your memory, if someone wants a mobile food establishment permit, they can get an annual permit, and that permit will cost $150 per unit, right? And if you want a permit just to operate for 1 week, that's going to be $50 per unit. If you want it for 3 days, that's going to be $25 per unit. And if you want it just for 1 day, that's going to be $15 per unit. I will tell you, though, that there are going to be very important requirements that these mobile food establishments are going to have to abide by. And that includes our important codes, our fire codes, plumbing, electric codes. And so that's what this permitting process is all about. It's about our building official, our planning director, and our fire to go out and make sure that these things are going to be operating in a safe condition. And our old ordinance didn't require that, so now our new ordinance is going to require that, which I think is an important thing, because we certainly know that if something goes wrong in a mobile food cart or truck or trailer of any sort, it's going to go up fast and burn up fast. So we want to make sure they're in compliance with that. There are going to be some allowed areas of operation. If they're going to be in a residential district, they have to be in a public open space, like such a park, like a park. They can't be located within 100 feet of a residential use or within 50 feet of street intersection, right? You want to keep those clear. We don't want them to be within 500 feet of any school, and we certainly don't want them to cause any obstruction in our traffic. The mobile food establishment will be separated from any existing building, right, or separated from another unit by at least 10 feet so that there's space between them. We do know that there's going to be some structural requirements with these carts or trailers or trucks, right? They're going to have to be maintained clean. They're going to have current license plates and registration if it's applicable. They cannot be equipped with sound amplification devices. We don't want to cause noise pollution. And they do have to be equipped with four-way hazard lights. Overnight parking has been a discussion. Overnight parking, they are going to have to remove the unit on a daily basis unless they have permission from the property owner to remain on there for longer than the daily basis. Shrimpery would be a good example, right? And for weekend use, they'll be allowed to stay on there throughout the whole entire weekend, from 5 p.m. on Friday night till 8 a.m. on Monday morning. One of the most important parts of this is that if there is a violation after a permit's been issued, right? Permit issued, then a violation occurs, we're going to have our city officials and enforcement officers the authority to revoke that permit, right? Because we don't want anyone's life endangered. With that said, any violation of this ordinance will cost $1,000 per day per violation. And we're going to make sure that this gets published in the newspaper. But it looks like at the end of this all, we're going to have mobile food establishments that are going to be in requirements with codes. And we're going to make sure that the person who's applied for them or the company that's applied for them is abiding by those to make your community safe. Thank you.
They also have to have health permits, right, from the health department? Yeah.
This
But
doesn't.
if they're in Aransas Pass, do they have to have San Patricio County health permit or Aransas County?
It just depends on what part.
It's a very good question.
Here's the deal, because Redfish Bay is in Aransas County, but the other side of our property is really San Patricio County.
As far as I know how it works, if you're in San Patricio County, you will get the San Patricio Health Department to come out. Actually, for a food truck, they have to take it there. And they have to set up with the generator and all that. As far as I know in Aransas County, I don't believe that they have that same type of health official. And at one time, I believed, I do not know for a fact, that San Patricio was also handling anything in San Patricio and Aransas County as long as it was within the city limits. But I don't have I believe that's the way it's handled.
Well, we got split. We used to be San Patricio, and this year they pulled the San Patricio after I paid the license fee for the restaurant, and they pushed it and they pulled it and they said, no, you have to go to the Aransas County now. So I had to go up to Aransas County and refile the whole paperwork all over again. So that's why I wondered about that.
Did you have an official come out from Aransas County to do that? To come look at your establishment?
No, she was too busy.
It was probably Gabriel with San Pat. That's what he's saying is you may be paying those fees over Aransas County, but I think they have an agreement with San Pat, so he does the inspections for them.
The girl was supposed to come out and inspect us. She told us she was gonna be out and then COVID hit. But I'm just wondering if, if we had food trucks.
So this ordinance, I think that's a very good question, generally speaking. we talked about this among the staff. What comes first, right? The health permit or the city permit? And I believe the answer was, well, the county usually calls the city and they try to do it together because they don't know which one comes first. I'm like, well, you want to make it clear in the ordinance which one comes first? And they're like, no, because they each have their own different processes. So that's not enumerated here in the ordinance. But I will further explain that this doesn't eliminate the requirement of the permit, right? You still have to have the county health permit. You still have to have food handler permits.
Yeah, you do.
So this is just really about having the mobile food establishment permit and making sure that the actual components of what you're using meets our code to protect the citizens while it's in use in our city. But all other laws must be followed.
As far as the city's inspections, the fire department and myself, we pretty much go out together, so it's not a terribly long, drawn-out process. We just meet up and if it's good, great, if it's not, we don't.
There's only one clarification that I need to get from staff, and that was who is actually going to be the beginning department. You know, I've got it here that the form's going to be provided by the building official, but I think you're wanting the planning department to be the initiator, right? And then it goes to building and fire?
I think so.
All right, I'll change that in the draft ordinance that I've written.
Any other questions? Member of the council?
Make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2020-4329, amending the zoning ordinance to provide for mobile food establishment permit requirements and fees.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consider an act on the issuance of a request for proposals for administrative services and request for qualifications for engineering services related to the 2021-2022 Community Development Block Grant Program administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture.
This is before you because we want to be prepared to apply for, to proceed with a CDBG grant. This is the engineering part. It'll need to go before a committee, which we have in place. I think maybe one or two of you are on that committee to make a selection of who we would choose from the RFQs. But this allows us to move forward with our pursuit of grants, which we've been very successful with in the past few years. And we hope we are with this also in the related engineering.
Make a motion that we authorize the city to go for RFP for administrative services and requests for qualifications for engineering services related to the 2021-2022 Community Development Block Grant administered by the Texas Department of Agriculture.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we go to the monthly municipal court report, August 2020.
All of the reports are submitted in writing during this COVID era that we are now in.
Okay, and that's for the community enrichment, development services, public works, monthly department, building department. And that's for the finances. And now we go to public safety to consider an act on approving an emergency service agreement between the city of Aransas Pass and Tri-County Emergency Medical Services for the period beginning October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021.
Mayor, and for the record, Councilmember Abrego has filed a conflict of disclosure that she will be abstaining from voting on this item.
That I sit on the board.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Thank you for having me here tonight. We're requesting that we renew the contract for 1 year to 2.5% consumer price index increase.
And this is covered by the budget.
It's what?
This is covered by the budget.
Covered. I make a motion that we renew the memorandum of understanding between the Aransas Pass Am I on the, no, I'm on the wrong one. I make a motion that we approve an emergency services agreement between the City of Aransas Pass and Tri-County Emergency Medical Services for the period beginning October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I abstain.
And now we go to consider an act on renewal of memorandum of understanding between the Aransas Pass Police Department and the Drug Enforcement Administration.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is just a standard item that comes to you every year. We wait until after the budget's approved, and then we'll get this MOU approved. We do have 2 officers that are assigned to the DEA. The only change in this MOU is that the reimbursement amount from the DEA has increased just slightly. So they are willing to reimburse more to get more coverage. And as you will or should know too, is they provide a lot of support to high-level drug-related issues that happen in this area. In fact, we have some big things getting ready to come out, hopefully very soon, to share.
Good. Good.
I make a motion that we renew the memorandum of understanding between the Aransas Pass Police Department and the Drug Enforcement Administration.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And this is the same thing for monthly fire department or public safety report, and monthly fire department report is written. And then we're gonna go to city council or staff announcements.
Yes, we have several. And I want to introduce you to somebody in just a second here, but before we do that, I want to make you aware or remind you of the joint meeting, City Council, Planning and Zoning Commission, and Zoning Board of Adjustment, October 1st. Working on the agenda now with all the different staff members working on that. There is a council workshop meeting on October 8th. And the Environmentally Sensitive Area Board, this is the Wetlands Mitigation Ordinance. They meet on September 28th. We had a meeting today, actually, with the people who helped us, and some of you were involved with that discussion and the preparation of the ordinance that created this board. I had a meeting today with the staff members with Texas A&M Houston. And they will participate in this meeting on the 28th to explain to the board their purpose, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going to be it's going to be interesting. If any of you want to sit in, let us know. We'll post it, of course, if that is the case. If it's more than 3 of you, but want to make you aware of that is occurring again on the 28th. And it says tentatively, but Mary, I believe that's firm. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
What time is it? What time is the meeting?
It's at 5 o'clock.
At 5?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you'll find it very interesting. This is going to be an active committee. They have a lot of work before them. You appointed and made suggestions on names. You made some excellent suggestions. It's going to be a very good committee and one that is going to be, as I said, very active. Last item is I want to introduce you to Roland Rodriguez. Roland Rodriguez has been talked about a lot lately in chamber media and with the school system and with the city. We are partners. Those 3 entities are partners, and we're sharing. We're pulling him apart. 3 different areas to use his public relations skills to get the word out about things we're doing and to correct issues when it needs to be corrected, but mostly the exciting things that are happening here in Aransas Pass with the school system, the city, and the chamber. Roland is already, he jumped in with both feet and doing a great job. So Roland, if you could come up and introduce yourself and tell us about some of the things you plan to do, and maybe a little bit about your background also.
I have no plan at all. I feel like I showed up to the barbecue, I'm waiting in line, and I get there and there's no more food. It's like I'm the last one. I was like, come on. No, but I'm excited to be part of, all 3 entities. I mean, right now, the first week was a little boring, I'm not going to lie, because just learning. And then once I had meetings with, with Gary and Kara, superintendent, and Rosemary, and talking about the plan, I felt so much better. And the whole idea just, right now, is balancing my time with all three, and to make everyone happy. And so far, I'm starting to get a rhythm. And I figured once I get that rhythm, everything's gonna be okay. But at first, it was like I was being pulled, can you do this project? Can you do this project? Now it's like, I feel a lot more comfortable. Up here, I look calm, but I'm like a duck. My legs are kind of just swimming underneath me really quick. But for those who don't know me, I've been in the television business for over 25 years. A lot of folks know me more as a sportscaster, because that's what I did for 17 years, and then 7 as a reporter, and that's how I got to know Chief and so many people in the community. Coach Ryan Knotzman, I knew him when he was a player for Rockport in high school, so I'm real connected to a lot of the kids now that were actually here, and now they're growing up and being part of the community. So my background is, being always part not only in Aransas past, but also the surrounding communities as well. So I feel like really comfortable here at home because I know a lot of folks, and so it's not like I'm coming in, I'm the new guy. So I'm really comfortable, and now I'm really excited to meet some of you guys in person and talk to you if you have any thoughts or whatnot. I'm here and always open for suggestions. So. Don't be shy and reach out to me. I've made friends with some of you on Facebook already to kind of keep up and make sure y'all don't, cross the line, because I don't want to come after y'all. No, I'm kidding. But I just want to be friends this way. Y'all could actually see what I'm doing.
Trust me, Roland, you won't.
I feel you. So I could tell just the way she asked some of the questions right away. There's no messing around over here. I will tell you what you can say, what you cannot say.
Yeah.
But follow me on Facebook or not, because that's a lot of the platforms we'll use, and y'all can see what I'm doing not only with the school district, but also with the chamber, and of course with the city. So I'm just excited to be a part of this new journey with you guys as well.
We're
We're very excited that you're here. Love the positivity, and it's a great team. It's going to be a great team.
Yeah,
it is a great team.
I'm excited, and it's one thing that everyone asks, what do you think? I said, I love it, because for me, it's a new challenge. It's not, I don't have to go stand in a storm. That's what I love about it. It's like now we could talk about the storm afterwards.
There you go.
I don't need to be in the middle and tell you, hey, it's raining.
I have a feeling you're going to be in a lot of storms.
Yeah, do not come over here. It's flooded. It's waist high. But after I said that, the water was waist high. So,
Here you go.
So I'm excited about that. But like I said, anytime y'all need to reach out to me, anytime y'all need to reach out to me, I'm always available. And like I said, this is something different. That's why I said, people say, what do you like? I go, I've done this for so long. And if anyone that's changed careers, you get excited about doing something different, but yet still in your wheelhouse. So it's not like I'm not uncomfortable with what I'm doing. It's just different, but exciting at the same time. So like I said, this is a fun opportunity. I was just kind of hoping we do this at the beginning of the council meeting instead of the end. But
make sure he's always late.
Yeah, but
maybe next time.
Yeah, no, I am just kidding. It was just interesting. This is like the first city council meeting I've been to in about 25 years.
Oh,
first
wow.
one I went to was when I first started in news, and I had to, go cover these, and I was like, oh my goodness. And now it's like I'm more involved. Now I can see, and I pay attention, even though, but before it was like, all right, I'm just here to, get the highlights, and I'm getting out of there. But now it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
but I've been
welcome.
watching them, I'll be honest, ever since Eric gave me the link when I was still in news to watch city council, so I'd always watch on my phone, and I still do it today, so so I keep up a little bit.
Thank you, Roland.
Well,
Yes,
welcome.
sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Yes.
No, you're going to turn off the lights.
I'm gonna start with sweeping and closing the lights.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to go to citizen comments. Citizen comments are intended for the matter that are not scheduled on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. Be advised that the Texas Open Meeting Act prohibits the city council from responding to any In discussing your comments, the law authorizes the following: make a statement of factual information, recite existing policy, advise that this subject may be placed on the agenda for subsequent meeting. No comments? Okay, well, we're gonna go into executive session, sections 551.071 of the Texas Open Meeting Act, to meet with the attorney to seek legal advice on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the city council on the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meeting Act, section 551.072, deliberations regarding real estate property, and section 551.067, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations related to city-owned property, commonly known as LWR property on Ransom Road, also known as Nueces County Appraisal District number 380310, and section 551.074, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer of employee, city manager. And it is 7:46.
majority.
Okay, we reconvene in open session to consider and take action, if any, on any item discussed in executive session.
Well, it's with a heavy heart. I make the motion that we accept Gary's resignation and to instruct the staff to make the preparations for hiring a new city manager by hiring a firm to do the job for us.
And I reluctantly second.
All in favor?
We
Reluctantly say yes.
Yes, aye.
Unfortunately, yes. All right.
All right, I make a motion to close this meeting.
To adjourn.
To adjourn.
All in
Adjourn
favor?
this meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.